actually have a interesting story about this. If you want to hear it.
Yeah,
if not, I can keep it short.
No, this, we've got all the time. Go ahead.
All right. So in 2015, one day I was sitting at home in my bed, and so I am a medium, as people will call it. I don't call it that, but people call it a medium, where you're able to communicate with the non-physical, communicate with people who have transitioned. And it's never been strange or bizarre to me because I've always had it. I didn't know that everybody didn't. That was kind of like a find out thing for me. So this is my normal life, you know, and I was in communication with Aaliyah. And Aaliyah came to me and she said, I want you to do a 21-day fast. Fruits and water. She said, on the 21st day, that'll be my birthday. On my birthday, I'm going to connect you to Missy Elliot and Timberland. And I want you to develop a relationship with them. There's a song that we didn't finish that I want you to finish. So I'm like, how am I gonna meet Missy? I'm like, what? I don't know these people. I don't know anybody who knows them. I don't know what this is, but I'm always obedient and I followed it. That was the first time where something had been as strong as that. So I did the 21-day fast. Her birthday came January 16th. I kid you not, I have witnesses. I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know what I have to do. And I was on Twitter and I looked at my mentions, and a friend of mine who's a producer, her name is Victoria's One, but she went as Lady Trauma back then. She was on Twitter. I didn't mention to her about the fast or anything. And she added me to Missy. And she said, Missy, I want you to check out Nefertiti. She's a songwriter. She's really dope, blah, 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 blah. From there, literally, Missy followed me on Twitter. And she was like, let's call, because that day, Missy was looking for songwriters. She was like, I'm looking for some songwriters, da, 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 da. So that's what inclined my friend to at me. And so from there, we did a record. We did like 3 records, and it was just one record that she really, really loved. And we haven't got to the Aaliyah thing yet, but it's coming, you know. So yeah, that's how I got in contact with Missy Elliot. Literally, that's the story.
So I've got 2 parts to this. The first one is, did you tell Missy about the whole experience and about the missing song?
No, not yet, because it's not time yet.
Okay.
When it's time, she'll know.
Okay. And then the other part is, you seem more worried about meeting Missy and less worried the fact that Aaliyah came to talk to you. I'm trying to balance. Because she always does. It's not a thing for me. Like, it's like, you know, a little bit before then, and then ever since then, she's always just present with me, you know. And you know, one part of being non-physical or not having a physical body, you can be 500 places at one time, you know, and you can be received by anybody who's in tune and who's listening. So that I mean, like I said, that's always been my normal, regular life. And but once I started to get in contact with more musicians and more people who created music, like Prince and Michael Jackson, and is this after they passed, or is it before they? Oh, afterwards. Okay.
Yes. So this is all in their transitioning. You know, once they begin to help me make music, Static Major is another person and he actually wrote with Aaliyah.
Yeah, from Player.
So
once I began to make these contacts more and more, it let me know even further, like, wow, this is really what I'm here to do. And it's bigger than just making music and being famous. You know, it's about getting people through tough times. You know, it's about encouraging people with music. It's about using your platform to talk about things that are encouraging and healthy for people. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about being famous and making money. And that's what those people were on the planet doing. You know what I mean? They wanted to make a difference. And so just because they don't have their physical bodies no more, they're still working. They're working through all of us. And so, you know, I'm a part of that, and I'm blessed to be a part of that, you know.
So, I mean, I guess what you're alluding to is to a lot of people could be seen as, wow, that's because most people are sort of seen as believing and might be really like, wow, taken aback by that. And I just wonder, especially now within the industry, is it do people, is it, because as you're saying it here, it's almost as if, oh yeah, it almost seems very nonchalant, but yeah. Do you have some conversations when you're working with other people, like, yeah, I've just had a conversation with a lady yesterday, and they're like, oh, okay, then what did she say? Or were they like, how do you
well, so here's the thing about, I don't work with a lot of people all the time. So my immediate circle is very intimate. Yeah. So they know I've been like this forever. And so, you know, they're used to it. And a lot of things have been intertwined with them, you know, so they already know that, you know, they're already used to things like this. But as far as outside people, you know, because I had to grow to realize that this was different. You know, you coming up as a kid, you're not thinking that you're thinking everybody is doing this.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, when I started to be externalize what was happening to me with my mom and things like that, she was like, huh? Oh wow. You know, so I was like, what you mean? Like, this doesn't happen to you? This doesn't happen to dad? This doesn't happen to my brothers? You know, and then I was like, oh, so it was a relief to get older and find, you know, different mediums and things like that, and to see, you know, it on TV. You know, the FBI uses people who use their psychic minds to feel things out and stuff like that. It's all it is I think really like a sensitivity, you know, and I'm an audio person, so I'm able to hear different frequencies. I'm more sensitive to different frequencies, maybe higher frequencies than, you know, the average ear. Yeah. You know, I think everybody has some type of, you know, extra sense. Yeah. You know, and it's just, it can go away if you don't tap into it, but if you do tap into it, you know, it's yours for a reason, so you should be using it and putting it towards, you know, your purpose.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I've been doing this show for a while and spoken to different musicians and songwriters from groups and Grammys and stuff, and they, when they will accredit their ability to sing and write a song to God. They'll say, you know, because I'm saying you sit on the piano, then a melody comes in, you're writing, and the lyrics just come up. And I said, well, how is that possible? And they say, well, it's a spiritual gift from God, because it's you know, it's almost as if it's floating, and they were in the position to receive it. So because that separates those who can perform and sing and do that from the rest of us. And then I guess in some ways you're also attributing a lot of your spiritual giftings that it is a gift that you have, and you are making yourself available to connect and hear and receive inspiration and to move forward. And I guess it's one of the things that those who are close to you probably got used to it. And I guess it's the kind of thing where if they were freaked out about it, I'm sure they would say, you know, I don't think so, and move on. Or did you have any of that?
If I did have any of that, I'm
Any of your friends or close ones who said, this is just a little too much. I'm
no, no. And you want to know why? Because, people who are non-physical, they don't just come to you just to come to you, and they can see, so there's no time with them. So you know how like we can't see tomorrow until we experience tomorrow? There's no today, tomorrow for them. It's just vision. They can see everything all the times, and so they're not going to come to you for a show. So I'm saying that to say a lot of times my friends found out because their grandmother has transitioned and become non-physical, and they have something to tell them. So for instance, my friend, my very best friend, we were sitting in the kitchen, and I was like, hey, your grandmother who has transitioned, she wants to say something to you. So, I don't never push it on anybody, or I don't ever start the conversation without their consent. So, once she says she's open to it, her grandmother had told us that one of her cousins were pregnant. And the cousin wasn't telling anybody because she was afraid and this and that and the third. But she said, I need you to know so that you can call her and tell her that it's okay. And so once we had that conversation, she called her cousin. And her cousin started crying. She was like, oh my gosh, how did you know? Yes, I am pregnant. And she said, Grandma told me. And she was like, I want you to know it's okay. So I'm saying they come with a purpose. They don't come just to show that this person can do this or that. Like, it's very purposeful and meaningful. So everybody around me, if they I don't just come and say, hey, I'm getting this message from this person. No.
Okay.
They're coming with, so if they know, it's because something has happened to where somebody wants to speak to them. And it just made complete total sense in their lives to where they know you can't just make this up. How would I know? I don't even know the girl or anything, so yeah.
So because we got to where you met Missy in 2015. And I noticed that you had, let me try and look it up, one for the bottle 2014, and I just saw it just as we're preparing for this, and I was like, oh, it's a nice little track, but it was 6 years ago. What happened? What happened with that? And
so what happened was, I was getting involved, and I started to notice things. Like I said, I started to notice, people in.
So you were getting involved.
So I was walking towards the industry. So I was getting, I started to get contracts, and I started to have conversations with people that could make things happen.
Okay.
Radio wise or whatever. And I was noticing politics, and I was noticing things like you couldn't always be open with things that were happening to you. There's like a secrecy, and being careful with talking about, like, even me being such a spiritual person, you can't always be open if, depending on your path, things scare people away, things intimidate people, so on and so forth. And that made me be like, whoa, because stuff was going really, really fast. And I was like, I need to step back, and I need to really define who I want to be, what I want to do here, how long I want to do it, who I want to do it with, why I want to do it. Like, I had to step back, and I had to just define a lot of things for myself. So that was that gap,
Okay. So at this time, your husband, were you guys together? Because I know, and the reason I say this is I think what the Me Too movement exposed to us was how perilous, how dangerous, or how vulnerable female artists were, both singers and movie and in film. And I think as you're approaching the industry, it's quite easy to You know, one of the things that I've always been passionate about music, even though I can't sing or play. But what I noticed is that you'd have a young artist, singer, female. She'd come natural, maybe out of church, and she's singing. Then by the second album, she's almost like a, you know, striptease, and then she just continues to go down that path. Before she then no one's buying her stuff, and it was always disheartening to see every artist having to change who they were and stuff. And so, but they had no choice. It was like take it or leave it.
Yes.
So in those early days, having your husband, then were you able to make sure lines and boundaries weren't crossed when they were coming?
Me and my husband, I'm so glad that we started out as very best friends. So we didn't approach each other like, I'm trying to impress you, you're trying to impress me so we can get together. We always had an honest friendship. You know, we were naturally attracted to each other with what we did and everything like that. And so how he played a role was he was always my friend. You know, when I was going through different things and going to different auditions and experiencing different stuff in the industry, he was always my friend, and he always encouraged me to define who I am. Who are you? Who do you want to be? You know, and you can't go out and look. You know, a lot of people go look for who they are. You have to decide. You have to decide. And once you decide, you know, you have to stick with that uncircumstantially. You know, so if I want to say that I'm a loving person, I have to be loving uncircumstantially when people aren't loving to me. You know, when I don't have the ideal circumstances to be loving, I still have to be loving if I'm saying that's who I am. And so he helped me a lot when it came to that. But I still had to experience life. I still had to, you know, navigate my way through different people. And he taught me to, you know, don't try to change people, you know, accept people for who they are. That's a part of loving. And just know that that's not necessarily for you, you know, but don't become opposition to them or try to influence them to be more like you. No, accept them for who they are, embrace them for who they are, and know what's for you and what isn't. So he helped me a lot with that, and I'm so grateful, because I do think that I would have been the type of personality like, this is going on and this is what's happening and everybody needs to, you know. And that's not the way. That's not the way, because, you know, like you were mentioning, the women that are going through, you know, a part of being human is going through your sexuality. And during those years of you turning 21, 22, 23, you're figuring it out, you know, and some people have to figure it out in front of the world, you know, and it's a defining time. You have to find out, you know, and define who you are sexually, you know, what you're attracted to. How far do you want to go with your sexuality? What do you want to bring forth, and what do you want to use your sexuality for? Because it is a powerful magic tool, and it does feel amazing, you know, and we can use sex to do so many different things. We can use sex to manifest. We can use sex to heal. We can use sex to connect ethereally to even other beings, you know, in other worlds and other solar systems, and even closer to ourselves and closer to our partners. So, you know, and I think some people, you know, they use that, and that they exploit that while you're going through that, because that's the height of it. You know, that's the height of it. So you know, they get you at that age, and, you know, you're open and you want to find out. So it's like you're opening your doors because you want to find out what's out there, what's going on, what's happening, what can I do? How powerful am I? How powerful are you? When we put our powers together, what happens? You know what I'm saying? It's just all this stuff. And so, you know, yeah, that's how it is.
So that means, when you took the break from being, because after you did the track, is that when you said, yeah, I'm not ready to go out to present myself. So you were looking to be writing and stuff. Was that the case?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to continue to do my songwriting. And as far as the artist, I'm just going to take a break and I'm going to define who I am as an artist. Who do I want to be? How far I'm willing to go? How far I'm willing to not go? Those type of things. So I took those years to just define myself. But in the midst of that, I was still songwriting behind the scenes for different artists. I was still producing music. And now I've accumulated so much. You know, I have albums worth to where I know when I do finally hit the peak of my popularity, it's gonna probably seem like, yo, this girl's an alien. Like, how is she coming up with stuff when it's really I took a break, and so in that break, I was just cutting records. So now I have an abundance, so.
But what happened?
You know what I'm saying? That's a good question. So I had took my hiatus, and in the midst of that, you know, I'm getting to know different producers, and so when you're a songwriter, you write the song for the artist, right?
Okay.
And the artist cuts the record and you hear it back and, you know, whatever. I was getting records back and I was like, this is not it. and it was like, I think I have to sing it myself.